Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. I am Dill, even though my name here on StreamYard has been changed for obvious reasons because I called it. Kelsey, how you doing? welcome, welcome to the
I'm
podcast. How's it going?
I'm doing really good, Dill. Please
Mm.
don't try to gloat so much this episode.
Sorry.
You're
Yep.
good.
I'm a clairvoyant. What can I say? And I'm actually very
Mm,
disappointed because I heard after the fact that apparently Funko Pop, when they were announcing their toys for this season, put a Wiccan Pop up there in like the
mm.
marketing, so like people knew. I was so proud of myself, and everyone's like, Dylan, it was spoiled already by Funko, and I'm like, well, I didn't know that, you know.
Oh, bummer.
So yeah, like I'm not the only one to call it, but I'm sure other people figured it out before it ended
Sure.
up being common knowledge. But we only got one episode to talk about today with Agatha, but I think it's a big one to talk about, and obviously Kelsey and I have
Mhm.
lots to say. But let's do a little bit of the housekeeping. Let's chat. Kels, how was your week? How has it been going? What's the best thing you watched? What's life like for Kelsey Land?
Um, my life's been good,
Mm,
my life has been mainly revolving around scary movies and Halloween
mm,
classics as
yes.
the 31 Frights of um Halloween
Mhm,
prevails.
yeah.
And the best thing that I watched this week by far, and the best 31 Frights of Halloween watch by far, has definitely been Aliens.
Yeah, you posted that TikTok yesterday, and I was very excited for you because I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise, so yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah.
you dove a little deeper into it. Yeah, tell us what were your overall takes from it? Like, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I've been like these sequels have been like, they're really hard to stick the landing again with most of them, but
Yeah,
this one, like, this is just like a world and an atmosphere that I definitely want to keep exploring. Like, I want to watch
mm,
now the rest of the movies in the franchise. And I'm just so in awe that I think, and it kind of pains me a little bit as a woman, that I think the greatest female character ever written was created by two men. And that's James Cameron and the writer who wrote the movie, because Ellen Ripley is just so
yeah.
cool. And I
Well,
just love the
you also got to give credit to Ridley Scott. He did the first movie. James Cameron came in for the
Oh,
second one,
okay.
but
Okay, sorry. I thought
but
he
the
had done both of them.
Aliens though is where they really kick into high gear. The feminist angle of it, and the
Yeah.
motherhood, and they
Yes.
crank it up a notch. But yeah, I get what you're saying because James Cameron like literally also gave us Sarah Connor in the Terminator movies. He also gave us Rose from Titanic. Like he's kind of notorious for giving us strong female characters in Neytiri and Avatar. Like that's just his MO. I guess he's just an ally, even though what we might know about him in the real world, it might be a little different, but I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know him well enough. I just know he's got a little bit of an ego to him, but don't we all? But yeah,
sure. I
I,
mean,
I, I also attribute a lot of Sigourney herself into creating the character as well. Like
oh,
I think we can give her
for
credit as
sure.
well. Yeah, yeah.
For sure. It's just like this conceptualization of like even having a woman like front these movies
Yeah.
is kind of baffling to me, even to begin with, because
Right.
it was created by a team of men. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't even like think to, give these people credit. But Sigourney is also like,
Yeah.
she's a very big part of why, people love Ripley so much and this
Mhm.
franchise. So she
Yeah.
absolutely gets credit in this as well. And damn, it was really good. It was really, really
I
good.
have to ask, do you have plans now to watch the rest of that? Like, do you now want to watch 3 and 4 and the
Oh, for
prequels and
sh- for sure. I think I'm definitely gonna hit those, but post
yeah,
31 Frights of
yeah.
Halloween.
I will just say, prepare yourself. How attached are you to these characters, Kels? Aside from Ripley, obviously, because Ripley's the lead of these movies, but like, how attached are you to the supporting cast? Just curious.
Well, it's tricky because, the entire supporting cast of the first movie, they all died. So
Yeah.
I couldn't be, that attached. And the way that these movies kind of operate is that you get to know all of these people, and you think that for someone, like, they go with some kind of general
Mm,
is like manning the team of the military operatives in the second movie, and you think that someone like him would make it at least until the third act, when in reality they get to their first big encounter with these aliens, and he's one of the first people to go. So you
Right.
never really know who's safe and who's not. I was mentally prepared for the fact that Hicks was gonna die. Um, I don't know what his first name is, but I
Corporal.
well,
I don't know.
um, but but he didn't at the end. He makes it out, and so I try not to be too attached to anyone because no one really, like, besides Ripley, really makes it to the end,
Mm,
as I
okay.
see now in these past 2 movies.
All right.
I would
Well,
be shocked if they killed Newt because that would have been trash. But
yeah. Well, I'm very excited for you to watch the third movie and share your thoughts when you eventually do, because there is a polarizing choice made. But that is all
okay,
I'll say. That is all I'll leave you with.
all
I'm
right.
happy you've avoided the spoilers on Alien 3. I like Alien 3 because it kind of like emphasizes the themes a lot of this franchise, and kind of leans into the darkness and sadness. But I do think a lot of people hate Alien 3 for reasons why people love Alien 2. So, or Aliens. Do you know the backstory on how Aliens got its name or how it got
No.
made? So James Cameron literally just walked up to the meeting, put the word alien on a whiteboard, and then wrote an S and put a slash through it and made it a dollar sign. And they were like, "We're sold." Like that was his pitch.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah, he was
that's
just like,
kinda
just add an
arrogant.
S and boom, you're gonna make so much money, and they did. So and we see there was another one in theaters last month, which I did not like, but
Mm,
we'll talk about that when you see that as well. Best thing I watched this week, like it's tough because I've just been in the midst of 31 Days of Halloween and New York Film Fest. A lot of the 31
yeah.
Days of Halloween movies I love this week were movies I've seen before. So like I saw the TV Glow and
Mm,
Titan. I just love those movies. So like I can't say those are the best things I watched this week. And then New York Film Fest, my reviews are coming out. So like I'm gonna tell you all what the best thing is eventually. But since I've already posted a review on it, I guess I can talk about Honora now, which is like one
mm,
of my favorite movies of the year. So it's like about a sex worker who like ends up with this guy, this Russian kid, and finds out he has a lot of money and kind of like approaches it from that angle of, oh, I can get a lot of money, but then they actually form like a sweet connection, and then they end up getting like this green card marriage so he can stay in the U.S. And then like his family from Russia kind of like comes over and tries to like annul the marriage. And it's
mm,
just a really cool, like it's a really funny comedy, but it's also like really kind of deeply tragic as well because like it's deeply empathetic about just sex workers in general and that whole profession, and you can tell that this character, despite her being such a strong, sassy, feisty, bold character, has like this deep underlying sadness and loneliness of like wanting to feel accepted. So
mm.
it's just really, really good. It's getting like buzz as like a potential best picture winner, and I do think it could happen. So that's coming out in a few weeks, so I highly recommend for anyone who hasn't seen it at film festivals and is interested in it. It's called Anora, Anora. A lot of trailers have been going out for it too. So put this one on your radar, Kels, because I think you're gonna like it a lot. Anora. But that's all
Yeah.
I'll say. I posted a full review so people can go watch it, but I figured that would be the thing I'd spotlight as the best thing I watched, even though I watched it 2 weeks ago. But who's counting? All these days are blending together because New York Film Fest finally ended, and I'm like, wait, I saw that movie 3 weeks ago. I'm like, I feel like I saw it yesterday because they all kind of blend together. So I'm like, we're
Yeah.
all these things. I'm like, I saw this. When did I see it? I'm like, oh, three weeks ago. That's nuts. But that's how time
Mhm.
is at film festivals, where it all feels like one big day. You literally go to an 11 o'clock screening at night, and then you have one in at 11 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, how did I get here? So lots of coffee consumed. I am finally done with New York Film.
Mm.
Finally catching up on 31 Days of Halloween. I've watched the movies. I just need to catch up on making the TikToks and just getting back in the swing of things. I have a lot of movies I need to catch up on. I need to go see The Wild Robot. I'm going to go see that with my mom, hopefully this week. I need to go see We Live in Time because I need that good cry. Yeah, have you heard about that one with Andrew Garfield?
Oh,
And
yeah, I've seen the trailer for that one.
need to see that. And then there was another big one that I was like, I need to go see. Oh, The Apprentice. I'm very intrigued by that.
Oh,
Sebastian
yeah.
as Donald Trump. So, yeah, a lot of good movies that I need to see. But all the movies I have seen the past few weeks, you can hear my thoughts on TikTok and here on the channel on my reviews. I'm a little sleepy today, as you can hear, because it has been a long 3 weeks. But Kelsey can help drive this kind of train into what we have to talk about.
Yes.
Is the Witch's Road, as we take on Agatha's trial, which I thought was very interesting. I figured we'd end with her, but it looks like we were like, you know what, let's tackle the monster right now. And yep, I called it, and we get a big reveal at the end. So
Yeah.
spoiler. we just kind of mentioned it earlier, but yeah, we get the reveal of who Teen is, and that seems to be the kind of craze sweeping the social media sphere right now, Kels.
Dill, can I just ask you one question before we get into the episode?
Absolutely.
Is this your playoff beard for the Yankees?
Yes.
Okay,
Not
that's what I
shaving,
figured.
staying consistent. It's funny because I've had a lot of auditions come in and I've had to write in my like actors access submission notes. I'd be like, can shave the beard. But I
Yeah,
don't really
yeah,
tell them
yeah.
why, because I don't want
Mm,
them to feel like baseball is more important than my career. But at the same time, it's 2009 is a long time to
right,
wait
right,
for another,
right.
and this is the closest
Yep.
we'll ever freaking be. So you know what, I gotta rally at this point. If I were to shave it and they were to lose, I would fully blame myself. So
Yeah.
it'll go in the next few weeks. It will go by mid-November, I promise. Not that anyone's saying it looks bad, but I think it looks bad, so but
Mm.
I'm acknowledging that I need it. It's my safety blanket, if you will, and
I
it's
just
getting,
figured that's what it
yeah,
was for.
it's getting a little full.
Yeah, I'm
I
also
forget
keep
which
growing mine out too. So
little peach fuzz.
go Yanks.
Yeah, I feel like everyone. I can't keep track of what friends are like shave it the fuck off and who are like, yeah, it suits you. I might actually go stash after all this is done just to see, just to
Ooh,
see.
go
You know,
Stash.
uh, no, I'm not sure yet. Are you pro beard? Are you anti beard? Are you more like
Well, I've
depends
seen
on the?
you with. This isn't the first time I've seen you with a beard.
I mean,
So
you see me with a beard,
yeah,
like full
yeah.
for
I
Fiddler. Yeah,
I definitely am pro stash. I think you should give it a try, even if
pro
it's just
stash.
shave this while you're like getting rid of it in the mirror by yourself. Just see what it looks like. If you hate it, just get rid of it.
Maybe
But if
maybe
you
like
like
film a
it,
few
rock with
reviews
it.
with it. Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Because that's
see
a
what it's
Yankee
like.
MO. Yankees can't have beards. They can only
Mhm.
grow stashes. So maybe I'm doing a disservice. Maybe if I shave everything but the stash, it'll help. But I'm also not gonna just like rely on that for 2 weeks
Yeah,
if
don't
or
break
3
your
weeks.
superstition now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
I've never had to do the superstition because I've never been this close. So, in my beard growing lifetime, because the last time they were this close, I was 11. So,
right, right, makes sense.
speaking of
Damn.
11, this is our Stranger Things episode. What a good segue.
Oh yeah,
Right?
it
Was
is.
it Stranger Things? Would you say Riverdale or
Yes.
Stranger Things? I thought it was like a mix of somewhere in between the two. Like I got Riverdale vibes, but I also got Stranger Things vibes.
I was
The
definitely
lights
getting
was giving Stranger Things.
yeah, I was definitely getting Stranger Things because it take this episode was seemingly like 80s themed.
Right.
So,
Okay.
um but yeah, let's get into it. So, Agatha All Along episode 5, Darkest Hour, Wake Thy Power. This is the
Mm,
shortest episode we've gotten so far. It's
yeah.
only comes in at a 31 minutes.
With credits,
And
which for Disney is like 8 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, this one was definitely a huge drop off for me. I
Huh.
thought we
Okay.
were going one way with the series, and we have just taken this huge like twist in the road, pun intended. And I don't know how I feel about this one, Dill, because
Interesting.
we did get obviously our big reveal, but I just now I'm just feeling like I kind of wanted to see like the rest of everyone's trials, and I
Yeah.
don't think we're gonna get that anymore. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and I kind of brought it up earlier. I'm like, I'm surprised this was Agatha's episode because I feel like we would have at
Hmm.
least gotten Lila and then maybe Aubrey Plaza's, or maybe do Agatha's and then Aubrey's. Like make it. I
Yeah.
feel like those two were always going to be last. So it's a little weird that like we're now at the like what third trial, and it's like, oh, it's already Agatha's trial, which I guess was a way to like subvert our expectations. But I agree with you. I feel like, I mean, we only have. I mean, this is episode 5, so we still have 4 episodes after this. This is the exact midway point, so maybe they wanted this to kind of be the point where it all kind of just like kind of falls apart in a way, so we can
Yeah.
then use the next 4 episodes to resolve it. But I do agree. I think it was
Right.
kind of like hitting its groove, and now it feels like, oh, maybe we're not doing that. I agree with you. It feels like it broke the momentum, but we'll
Mhm.
see what the rest of the series is because it could make a lot of sense once we get there. I mean, I think about WandaVision too, how like that 4th episode, we were all like, wait a sec, wait, now that we're not the TV thing anymore. We're seeing things from the other side. And that ended up
Right.
being a great, kind of pivot and twist. So I think it all depends on how it goes from here. I think right now I agree with you. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I'm fully on board with the pivot it's taking, but I also know there's still a lot more story to tell, so it could make sense in the retrospect of it all. But I agree with you. It was definitely shocking to like take this pivot this early. I feel like this is like an episode 7 or 8 thing you would do, or like an
Yeah.
episode 7 thing you would do, and then episode 8's this big like kind of fight thing. 9 is your resolution type deal. Like I feel like 5
Right.
is early for this, but again, I don't know what the rest of the series is, so it might make sense. I don't know.
No, for sure. So we start this episode, and the Salem Seven, who were following Agatha from the first episode, have now infiltrated the road. And Lilia is the first person to pick up on this because she is the clairvoyant of the group. And she reveals that because they didn't close their summoning portal properly when they summoned Aubrey Plaza's character, Rio, the Salem Seven were able to get in. So now the Coven have to hightail it out of there. Teen suggests escaping on brooms, to which Lilia's dismay, they end up, performing a broom ritual for one another and flying off the road and into the night sky.
Yeah. How was
There
this
is.
sequence for you, Kels? Did you my biggest thing, I was texting Matt about this, or Matt texted
Yeah.
us about like a little group chat I'm in about it, and he was like, I really like the show, but like I wish they had set all these scenes during daytime because I can't see anything. And I agreed. I was like,
Mm,
I feel like the lighting was pretty bad, but I don't know if it was where and how I watched it. This is why I'm always pro theater, because I'm like, theaters give you that like darkness you need. Whereas like if you have
yeah.
one window open, like right now you can even see light coming in. I'm like, if you watch it with any light, like I don't know.
Right.
I felt like this was a little bit poorly executed from a visual standpoint, because it is such a cool thing. Like we're seeing the witches ride brooms, and they make a whole joke obviously about how like they hate that. Like they hate that, how like America has like kind of like merchandised it. But I do like,
Yeah.
the idea of like them getting the brooms, but like I wish we could see it. Like it almost felt like underwhelming because everything was shot so dimly.
Yeah, absolutely, Jill. I was, the second time I was watching this episode was when I was taking my notes on it, and so I had to watch it with the lamp on, and I could
Mhm.
barely see what was going on. I
Yeah.
like tapped the brightness on my computer, and I was like, "Oh, the brightness is all the way up. Great. I just
Yeah.
can't see anything."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's funny that you brought that up. Yeah, I think that they just wanted to have the road super dark to kind of fit the spooky element of it all, so that
Hmm.
your eyes kind of do have to work a little harder to like see yeah, especially with the Salem Seven, this moment, especially with like them taking on they were taking on different forms of different animals, and so you kind of have to like focus in really hard, and then they
Hmm.
appear out of the woods and things like that. But yeah, overall the lighting definitely could have
Yeah.
been
Give me
better.
some give me some moonlight. Like you can still make it dark and creepy. Just make it
Because
visible.
yeah, well, I did love that shot, that kind of like ET moment they had where they were
Yeah.
flying with the moon in the backdrop.
Yeah.
That
That was
was
cool.
that was really cool. That was the most visually, I think, impressive thing in the show by far.
Hmm.
But also with this whole broom sequence, they seem to be doing this like ritual where they both have to like take a broom and then they give it to like the
Little
witch.
dosey
So they have
do.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, they have to do it for each other, but I didn't even really see like the twigs or the branches that they grabbed kind of
No,
transform at all.
I don't know if they did. I think it's just like they could take any stick and ride it. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
that's a hocus pocus thing too as well. In like the sequel of
Mm.
Hocus Pocus, like one of them grabs a vacuum cleaner, one of the, or no, the
Oh,
first movie, it's like one of them grabs a vacuum cleaner, one of them grabs a broom, one of them grabs like a Swiffer. And then I think in the second one, or the second one is the Swiffer, then like Kathy and Jimmy gets like the Roombas, which I love. But yeah, I think it's like the thing of
yeah.
like a witch can make anything a broom is like
Mm,
gathering. But I don't know. Maybe
sure.
we'll have to ask Carly because she's a witch. So I don't know.
Which is fine, but they were
Which is
commenting
fine. Sorry.
exactly. But they were commenting on the brooms. They were like, "Oh, this is nice." And then Lily was like, "Yeah, you could have done better for me." And then they were
Mm,
like making comments about their brooms, but you couldn't really see them. So
no.
I didn't understand like what they were supposed to be.
Right.
Anyway,
Hmm.
also there was a moment where one of the Salem Seven attacked Teen, but then Alice saved him. Um, and so Teen, obviously, this is his first time riding a broom, so he just keeps repeating to himself like, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." And then Lily had made this fun comment where she said, "Try praying to the Divine Mother, kiddo, instead of like God. Like pray to like
Yeah, that was
the
funny.
mother of the witches."
Hmm.
This epic ET moonshot I wrote down. while they're riding the brooms, Agatha steals a glance at Rio and is like, "Oh, my longing love for her." But then, because they're flying too high and they need to be on the road itself, the road forces them back down.
Yeah.
And this is when they kind of hastily run into the next trial, which is set seemingly in like almost like a treehouse type of place. And they transform into like these 80s outfits. They've got the big hair, the crop tops, the fun colors. They're all dressed up kind of on the younger side, besides
Yeah, it looks like a
Lilia.
sleepover kind of. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's in like not pajamas, but yeah, a little bit kind of like they're very casual. Which is
Yeah.
where like I thought it might have been like Riverdale just because of the
Mm.
cabin and but I do think the lights and the youthfulness does definitely feel Stranger Things for sure.
Hmm. And so they're trying to discuss how they're going to execute the fourth. What is this? The third trial?
Third trial. Yeah.
Yeah, the third trial. The third trial, and Alice says something funny where she says, "By how playing Kiss, Mary, Kill," and I'm like, "Oh, I guess that's the Disney version of Fuck, Mary, Kill."
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and we find out that this is Agatha's trial because it is a blood moon, and Lilia reveals to us that during the blood moon, that is when the veil between the living and the dead is its thinnest. And
Mm.
because Agatha's killed the most people, they're going to have to do something where they have to commune with the dead. And lo and behold, a Ouija board pops out of the stack of games.
Just imagine a
And
Ouija board just like popping out of a stack of games in your house. Like I would run. I would shit
sell the
myself.
house.
Yeah.
Yep. The Ouija board owns that house now, not
Yeah,
me.
bye.
I am so pro like just leave. I get
Yeah.
it. They're like in the middle of the trial and they can't leave, but
Nah,
like if
yeah.
it happened in
I vote
my
to evict
house,
myself. Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny because today is actually on my schedule. October 14th is the Ouija episode. I'm gonna be watching Ouija for 31 Days of Halloween, Ouija Origin
Mm,
of Evil. So just pure coincidence, but it's almost a little weird and kind of a little too
funny.
coincidence where I'm like, we're talking about
Yeah.
Ouija boards and I have to watch this movie today, and I'm like, is this a sign? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been encountering. I've never encountered a Ouija board. Have you, Kels?
I have.
Have you partaken?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, really?
Dill,
You're still with us.
I was a big Ouijieer back in the day.
Like, oh, you did it more than once.
Yeah, I did it
What?
a bunch.
Oh my god, what? Wait, how old were you? We need to unpack this. We have
Um,
time. This
it
is a
was
short
like
episode.
it was like middle school. It was
Was it
like
you and friends or just you?
most of the time it was me and friends. There was only one time I did it by myself, and that was weird.
What? Oh my god, Kels. Okay, and what did anything crazy happen or no?
Well, I remember very rarely did it in my house. I was did it in other people's houses, and there was one instance where I got so freaked out that I think I like burned it, which apparently you're not supposed to do.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm learning so much right now. This is crazy.
Well, there was one
Okay.
instance I came in contact with like a spirit, and we asked it like, how did you die? It gave us this like random name, and we were like, who is that person? Like, what did that mean to you? But like we said goodbye, and then I ended up Googling the name, and it was turned out to be like a mobster. Um,
Oh my god.
so
We
I
are
stopped.
Jersey, so that's
Yeah,
crazy. That's
exactly.
crazy. I did
Yeah,
not know you partake more than once, let alone alone once. Like that is crazy to me. That
yeah.
no offense, but like I'm surprised you're here right now. Like good for you. I
No,
could
it
never.
was bad. I saw a psychic like later on, like in high school, and she
Yeah.
immediately was like, "You've touched a Ouija board. Like, don't ever do that ever again." And I was like, "All right, got it." And
Oh
I
my
never
god.
have ever
Did you
since.
tell her or the psychic just knew?
No, she just knew.
Fucking Christ. I'm
Well, because I was also talking about the friend that I used to do it with, and she was like, "Oh, she has bad spirits around her. Like, have you and her ever used a Ouija board?" And I was like, yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, don't ever do that again." Because I'm no longer friends with the person that I used to do
uh-huh.
with.
Oh my god. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Like what?
Yeah.
This is
That was
crazy.
an era
Sorry.
in my life.
I did not know any of it. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yo, you know someone for how long have I known you? Like, I don't even know. Like, I was
Since we
friends
were
with you
like
through that
8.
stage too. Like, yeah, like I was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I kept my best friend Kelsey. My sister's just playing with her Ouija board. Like, I have no idea. That is crazy to me. Okay, we're gonna have to talk off air a little bit about who and the circumstances, but I won't make you unpack that
Sure.
right now. But that is, I'm glad you're here, my
Sure.
friend. Wow. Okay. I was just about to say, I'm like, I wonder what it'd be like to actually do a Ouija board. And you're like, I got experience, yeah. Like,
No,
that's crazy.
I used to do it all the time. Most of the time it's like nonsense because I don't think there's like a there I don't know. There's
Be
like a
careful what you say. They might be listening. I don't
I mean,
delegitimize it.
but I always said goodbye. You always have to end the session with goodbye, or else, obviously you leave the portal open. But and then was watching all these like YouTube videos of all these like other people using the Ouija board, and I'm like, I'm sure looking back at it now, like they were definitely all like fake. But I just got like so freaked out that I was gonna like accidentally come in contact with a demon that I stopped
Yeah.
using it.
Should we do something crazy, Kels? Should we for the
You
next subathon?
do a Ouija board?
Not for the sub. No,
Oh,
like they have to unlock it. Like, no, we're not gonna
oh,
just do
okay.
it. Like you have to get like maybe like at like 10,000 subscribers, we do a Ouija board.
I mean, we definitely could.
And then if like people really want to see it, then we'll get this. Like I think it has to be earned. It has to be like 10,000. I'm not going any smaller than that. I'll even go higher. I'll go
Yeah,
25,000.
yeah,
Like I'm not settling for less. Let's think about it. We'll
yeah.
table it. Okay. Anyway, continue the
Definitely an
episode. This
idea.
is wild to
Anyway,
me. All right. Wow.
sidebar.
Sorry y'all for listening to that. Was a lot. Okay. I feel like I just finished therapy. All right. Ooh. Wow. That was crazy to me. My mind is just like I'm like, are we being
Yeah,
listened? Are we being watched?
it was freaky.
Wow. Okay.
Um, so they start using the Ouija board in the show, and Agatha pretends to come in contact with Mrs. Hart. She pretends that she takes over her body, and so we just have like basically Catherine Hahn doing an impression of Deborah Jo Rupp, which was
That's fun.
entertaining to say the
Mhm.
least.
Mhm.
And but they all call her out on it. And they're like, okay, let's do it for real this time. They do it for real, and this time they come in contact with death, and it says that it wants to punish Agatha. And so all the witches decide, you know what, fine, this is how we pass the trial, like let's punish her. And so they
Hmm.
start kind of brainstorming ways to do this. Teen is definitely coming to the defense of Agatha. He's saying, no, there must be another way. And this is when the spirit of oh yeah, but first I did write this down. Jen wants to punish Agatha, but while Teen is protesting, she says familiars don't get a vote, which obviously could just mean like, oh, like friends, people, acquaintances, like you don't get a vote because like you're friends with her. But then I also Googled the word familiar, and it also meant back in the day, like familiars were medieval folk who assisted witches, which is
Hmm.
kind of what Teen's role has been in this the whole
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
But anyway, thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And so while they're doing this, Agatha disappears. She seems to vanish into thin air, and they discover her plastered on the ceiling. She looks very possessed, very demonic. She starts crawling around the room, doing all this contortionist activity.
Yeah.
And then
Very
Aubrey
fun.
Plaza has this great line delivery where Agatha is like crawling all around the room, and she just goes, "Sweetheart, you okay?" Like she's like it was very like asking your friend who's like puking over the toilet from like drinking too much, like, "Sweetheart, are you okay?"
Yeah.
Like I just thought it was perfect.
That was great. I mean,
Um,
that whole sequence was fun. Again, like a little too dimly lit for me to really enjoy, but I
yeah,
do think like just the whole her crawling around and her like back bend, like that's all
yeah,
fun. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's very Exorcist. I liked it.
And also, what a day for that contortionist on set to like
Oh, I
what a
know. What a
job for
gig.
them
What
to
a gig.
land, you know?
I heard a lot of people being like, "Wow, Catherine Hahn." I'm like,
No,
like love
honey,
her, but no. They're like, "Oh my god, Catherine Hahn can do that." I'm like,
like
no. There's
all that stuff.
stunts. That is a thing. Stunts.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's the same people praising Ryan Reynolds dancing in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm like,
Unfortunately, that was
no.
not him.
No, no. It's like
Uh,
people praising the guy Tom Cruise jumping off the motor. Oh wait, no, he actually did that. Never mind. Sorry. Tom Cruise does all the crazy shit. Um.
he sure
Anyway,
does.
yeah.
And so now, and then the ghost of her mother appears, and obviously this was the woman who tried to have Agatha killed after Agatha killed her own coven.
Mhm.
And but of course we know how this ended from WandaVision. She ended up absorbing all of their magic and killing all of them. And the ghost of her mother says that they have to finish the road without Agatha, and they're telling her to leave Agatha behind with her so that she can punish Agatha properly. Um, and this time, when um, Agatha's mom possesses her, Alice steps up and uses her magic to save her. But as we
Yeah.
know, as she's blasting her magic
Agatha
at
can
her,
absorb it.
Agatha starts absorbing it, which does lead to Alice's demise.
Yeah.
Um,
Quite shocking, honestly.
yeah, while this is happening, the Ouija board is going crazy in the background. So Teen goes to see what's going on, and it spells out the name Nicholas Scratch. To when we hear a young boy's voice say, "Mama,
Yeah.
stop!" But it's too late. Alice is dead. There's nothing that Lilia or Jen can do to save her.
Mhm.
Um, and then outside of the trial, which unclear whether or not they pass that trial. Who knows?
Yeah, very unclear. Yeah.
Um, outside of the trial, Teen confronts Agatha and is like, "Why would you do that? Like, you could have controlled it." And Agatha's very adamant that she couldn't and that she didn't mean to do what she did.
Mhm.
Um, and Teen says that if this is what it means to be a witch, just killing people for your own personal gain, I don't want to be a part of it. To
Mhm.
which Agatha, whole demeanor change,
Yeah.
whole expression change, leans in and says, "Are you sure? You're so much like your mother."
Yeah.
To which then Jen and Lilia come back into screen. They take Agatha by her arms and
Yeah.
they throw her into this quick sinking quicksand like
Mud type
mud.
deal. Yeah. Mhm.
Um, and we see that they are getting controlled by Teen, who is using his magic in his little hands. Their eyes are glowing silver, which is the color
Mhm.
of his magic.
Yeah.
And after they throw Agatha in, he tosses them into the mud too. And then
Yeah.
we end on a close up of Teen wearing a very Scarlet Witch like
Yes.
headpiece.
Yes.
And Billie Eilish's You Should See Me in a Crown starts playing as the credits roll.
Yes. Billie Eilish, because Billy Maximoff. Um, right? I assume that's what that was? No?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
make that connection at first, but that's very
Okay.
good, Jill.
No, I thought
Probably
that was because it immediately says Billy
intentional.
starts playing. I was like, all right, Billy. No,
Uh,
I've been calling it since the beginning. I thought this was Wiccan. I think
mhm,
just the nature of casting a gay actor, a younger actor, not saying his name, the W in his mouth whenever you try to speak, and it would prevent him from doing that.
mhm,
I picked up on a lot of the clues, but I thought this was a really good reveal. Like even though it was a little obvious by the time we gotten it, I even think Kelsey, you by that point had gotten sold on that concept and that theory. Um, and
mhm,
I think it's a satisfying one. I think because the show was kind of building up to it potentially being Agatha's, and then like last episode was supposed to be the big like plot twist. It's not her son because you think the whole time it's her like with her son, and then this episode we
yeah,
hear the son's voice, and it turns out that it's not him. I like this reveal. I thought it was very tasteful, very interesting. The question is like, is this show now going to be Billy? Them having to fight Billy, or is it because he
mm,
should theoretically be the hero here, but because Agatha's the main character, is Billy now the antagonist to Agatha's story? Like that's where it's a little
mhm,
unclear. Or is he going to work with them? I really don't know where the show is going, and that's kind of my biggest like hesitation. But I'm very intrigued. I think that was a really cool way to end it. It almost feels like if there was like mid-season finales these days, this is a really good mid-season finale because now it's just like, all right, where are characters going to go? But we know we have 4 more episodes coming like next week and beyond, so it's not necessarily having that
yeah.
same function. But I think this is a really cool like halfway point, despite not necessarily knowing exactly where it's going. But you seem a little bit more mixed though on the episode in general. But what do you think of like this reveal, and what do you think now going forward? What does this have in store?
Yeah, Dill. I'm a little hesitant with this reveal. I'm
Okay.
afraid that this is just going to turn into an Agatha v Billy showdown,
Right.
which feels very WandaVision.
Mm,
I was hoping that they were going to find some sort of way to work together, and that it wasn't going to just be this like plot of like vengeance of like, oh, you are the reason why my mom went to Mount Wundagore, I guess, and
Yeah, right.
became an evil person. Like, I don't even know how he would even truly be mad at Agatha, really. But because it was, I guess, because Agatha was the one who introduced Wanda to the Darkhold, and that
And
was, the catalyst for uh Multiverse of Madness.
yeah. And where's Tommy in all this? Like, I thought they were a package
Right.
deal. What is
So
he just running?
let's talk about Teen. Let's talk about
Okay.
Teen
Yeah.
from the beginning and the reveal. First of all, I did do a deep dive into what Teen, but his name
Wicked.
is not Teen anymore. Wiccan, Wiccan / Billy is like in the comics and what his story kind of entails. So in the
Mm.
comics, obviously we met in the MCU, we met Tommy and Billy Maximoff in WandaVision as her two young sons living in Westview of her and Vision. And this is true. Wanda does use like her interdimensional power to create Tommy and Billy, these twin boys, for her and Vision to have sons. But she uses like agents of Mephisto to do it. But so then eventually at some point in the comics, Mephisto comes to claim these children because he's like, well, these are technically mine because you use my
Mm.
magic to do it. So I'm taking these boys back to hell with me or wherever he comes from. But actually in the comics, Tommy and Billy kill Mephisto. They just like totally murk his ass,
Okay.
and they return back to like Earth 616, or like,
The timeline.
the timeline basically.
Mhm.
But they don't come back as Billy and Tommy Maximoff. They don't even come back as brothers. In fact, Billy, as we know him in the comics, his name is William Kaplan, and he is the
Hmm.
oldest son of parents Rebecca and Jeff Kaplan. They live on the Upper West Side of New York, and he gets bullied in school because he's gay. He ends up meeting a young one of his peers who's also gay, whose name is Teddy Altman,
Oh.
which is the name we
Yeah.
know from
Yeah, from
Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy.
Anatomy. Yeah, okay. Oh, sweet.
um,
Nice.
but
Is
they
she still on that
basically,
show? She's still on that show? Do you
I
know?
think she came back, but I
No, yeah,
haven't
she's been
seen
back.
the.
I haven't watched the last 2 seasons. I need to catch up. Are you
I need
done?
to catch it. No, absolutely not. I fell off on like season 18.
Gotcha. No, I meant, like, are you done with the show? Are you, like, you're done? You're
Oh,
putting it to bed? Yeah,
Grey's
like,
Anatomy.
yeah, are you,
Oh,
like,
I did.
are you planning on going back to watch it, or is it like, I'm done with the show?
No, I'm gonna go back.
Oh, okay, okay.
I
Gotcha,
just
gotcha.
I just have to find the time. Yeah, don't
Yeah, me too,
spoil
me too.
anything for me.
No, I don't yeah, I don't know. Last time I knew, I think Teddy was still there, but I don't know.
So
Anyway.
Billy and Teddy Altman from the comics, not Grey's Anatomy, basically have a kinship with one another because they both reveal that they have powers. Obviously, Billy's is kind of like an electric power, so he goes by a different name. And because he has kind of like electricity in his veins, he takes on this title of being Asgardian because he sees himself having a lot of similar traits with Thor.
Interesting.
But because he can also do the, magical witchcraft side of his powers, he then later on takes on the persona of Wiccan because he uses those powers more than he does his electric
So he's kind of
powers.
like a mix of Wanda and Thor, which seems impossible to beat. Really.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
hey, good for
Yeah.
him.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Um, Teddy, on the other hand, is known as Hulkling, and he is a
Oh,
Kree/Skrull hybrid, which
okay.
is interesting because we know that the Skree and the Skrull, the Kree. Okay, what's up? The Skrulls and the Kree butt heads a lot, so I
Yeah.
wonder how he came about.
Mm,
And he kind of, I don't know what his powers are exactly, but he seems to be powerful, super strength, Hulk-like abilities.
yeah.
And so that's what he's like in the comic. So I don't know if this is Billy Maximoff for per se from WandaVision, or if this is the Billy Kaplan that we're gonna get to know
I
from the comics, and that's how they're spinning it. I
I
don't know.
feel like the mother comment though makes me feel like
Mm.
it's the Billy we know. You know what I mean?
But we do have to jump back to the original comment about his parents from a few episodes ago when Jen says, we should call your parents. Like maybe he was just lying because he didn't want them to know that Wanda Maximoff was his mother. But he does very confidently say, oh, I'm 100% sure that they're definitely asleep.
Hmm.
which again could just be a lie, could just
Yeah,
be a
it
red
could be it
herring.
could be like a wiping of the memory type. I mean, we saw with Agatha, like she didn't know who she was until Aubrey Plaza had to like lift that from her, like unveil it. Maybe this was his
Right,
unveiling, and he's like, "Oh shit, my mom's Wanda." All this stuff, like this is his like kind of coming out, so to speak.
right.
Which again, gay metaphors, you know. Yeah, yeah, he's serving it in this episode though, definitely. You know, didn't love his accent when he was doing the Ouija rules. He was like 5, and I'm like, all right, 5, but okay. But I've kind of gotten over that heap. I don't care. I think
Yeah.
Joe Locke is
Joe
great.
Locke is
He's
doing
really
his
great.
best.
Yeah. Have you watched Heartstopper or no?
I haven't watched the latest season, but I have seen the first
Is
2.
it good? I haven't seen any of it. Is it
Oh,
good?
it's so sweet. It's
Okay,
really
cool.
good.
Because Kit Connor's doing Romeo and Juliet on Broadway now, so
Yes.
big month for Kit and Joe Locke. So
Yeah.
I do want to check it out
Killing it.
eventually, but I've heard it's a tearjerker, so I got to prepare myself.
So let's talk about Teen or Billy slash Wiccan in the context of this show. So we first meet him at, he shows up at Agatha's doorstep. He's begging to be down this road. He's always his main mission this entire time has been to be a part of the coven,
Hmm.
and they've never really opened the invitation for him. They've kind of just let him fade into the background a little bit. Agatha often refers to him as her pet throughout this whole show,
Yep.
and so this is where things get interesting, right?
Okay.
Because Teen is the one who reveals to the group that Mrs. Hart is dead. And in the
Hmm.
next episode, episode 4, he's the one that's digging the grave for her. And Agatha makes a really interesting comment where she's looking down at Mrs. Hart's corpse and says, didn't think you had it in you." And at first, I thought she was saying that to Mrs. Hart, like, "Oh, I didn't think you had it in you to come
Mm,
with us, to be a part of this, to die. Like, I really thought you were going to make it out of this." But then Teen asks her, "Didn't think who had what in them." And Agatha just winks at him. And so a lot of people are theorizing that it was
mm.
actually Teen who killed Mrs. Hart so that he could take her place in the coven.
Oh, that's plausible. That's definitely
And
plausible.
so And also in episode 4, during Alice's trial, I brought this up last episode because I'm a genius. Episode 4, we see Lilia and Jen get attacked by the curse. It lands on their shoulders, it leaves burn marks. But then all of a sudden, Teen is thrown through the window and ends up with a piece of glass in his side. And I said that was weird because that's not how the curse was operating at the
Mm,
time. And it was, when I watched this scene again, he even says, as he's getting up and the whole coven is checking on him, he says, "Hey, I got attacked by the curse. Does that mean I'm a part of the coven now?" So at
mm.
first I thought that this might have been Rio's doing, but now I think that he just did that to him himself. So he could
Maybe.
be like, "Oh, I got attacked. Am I one of you guys
Ah,
now?"
yeah. And now
So
he's
I think,
completely overthrowing the coven because he's taking out the other witches. But that's the thing. If he wants to be in the
yeah,
coven, why is he throwing the others in quicksand? That's my only question.
I
Like,
don't
what
know.
is his overall
That's
motive? I think is the question. Yeah, like it's like he wants to be part of the coven, but he's also now against them. Like I think that's the part I'm hoping we get resolved soon. You know what I mean?
no, for sure. Because I want to tie it back to the last moment we saw with him and Agatha in this episode. Because this moment didn't make any sense to me. It came out of such left field for me. And I think that that's why I was so taken aback by this episode and that I didn't really like it so much because I just felt like everything we learned from this episode was rushed and thrown out of left field
Mhm.
and absolutely like wasn't aligning where I thought the show was going.
That's
And
fair.
now it makes sense because he says if killing people to for your own personal gain is what it means to be a witch, then I don't want to be a part of it. But because Agatha knows he killed Mrs. Hart, that's why she leans in and says, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, and that's
Because
a very Wanda thing too. Like,
yeah,
Wanda's not as scot free.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And yeah. And so I'm just wondering now, the moment when Agatha figures out that Billy that teen is Billy and is Wanda's son.
Mhm.
Like,
I
do
think
you
we
think it
see
was
it. I think we see that little switch. She has, like, that little
it
smile,
in that
you know?
moment when
I
she
think
goes, "Are you
so, I
sure?"
don't
You
know.
think? You think she learned it right then and there? I wish
I
there was a
I
little
think
bit
sh
more of,
I think
like,
she
a
did. I don't know.
realization of, like, "Oh my god, you are so much like your mother." But instead, she says it like she's known all along, you know? And
Maybe
she's tipping her hand a little bit.
I forget, did she walk away from Aubrey Plaza when she told her that it wasn't hers?
Yes.
Okay, so they don't finish that conversation.
No.
Huh.
She Aubrey Plaza cuts off the kiss that they were gonna have and says, "You know that boy isn't yours." And then Agatha just like turns and is like, "Okay, we have to keep moving" or something.
Hmm. Yeah, very interesting. I really hope this all gets addressed because now I'm thinking about a lot of
Mhm.
things. But yeah, it still makes it a little muddled for me where I'm like, okay, so is Wiccan the villain of this? But it's also like
Mm,
Wanda's a hero kinda to us, even though she also became a villain. But also Agatha's
right.
not a hero. Like Agatha's a villain, but she's also the protagonist. So it's like
Yeah.
and he's trying to stop them, but also be part of the coven. But then say he doesn't want to be part of the coven if it means killing people, but he also killed people. Um, I think it's a lot of questions that they want us to ask, so they can later
Yeah.
on answer them. And I think in that case, it's doing its job well, right? Because we're asking all the questions.
Right.
But you left me a lot to think about, Kels. This goes beyond just me being like, I think it's Wiccan. You're like, and here are the facts,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
um, kind of just
And I
like
also want to
planting all
talk
the
about
seeds. Yeah,
Lilia
yeah, go for it. Yeah, because she's,
because
I did hear a little theory on Lilia as well, but go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, like this whole Billy theory and now what I'm going to talk about with Lilia did get kind of introduced to me from TikTok. I wish I could take credit for having these original thoughts, but it feels like back like
In WandaVision mode.
when WandaVision was at its peak, that was all my TikTok was about. Like it was crazy. Everything was a
Theorizing. Whoa,
theory. It
sorry.
was no,
My
you're
bad.
good. Um and so yeah, let's talk about Lilia and these visions because I wanted to go back because something okay, I will say that the thought that triggered what I'm about to say now is the fact that in episode 4
Mhm.
during Alice's trial, we see Lilia have a moment of a vision where she turns to Alice and she goes, "Alice, don't."
Mhm.
And I think that was
Foreshadowing
predicting,
this episode.
foreshadowing what Alice does in this episode, which is use her magic to save Agatha.
Yeah.
And I
Well, because
think,
she's a clairvoyant, she can see ahead. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
wanted to go back to every single vision that we've seen her have
Like
so
every
far
outburst. Yeah, where she then just, like,
to
snaps out. Yeah.
to see if anything else
Yeah.
aligns.
I did see this theory, so, yeah, please go ahead.
So, excuse me. So the first vision that we see her have is just she breaks down, she starts screaming, which could be anything.
Yeah.
Um, the second one that we see her have is her writing the names of the coven that are going to join Agatha, and we know that she writes down her name, Alice's name, Jen's name, and a black heart for Rio. And then she also a few times throughout these episodes, she's been calling out random tarot cards. And the first one she says to Agatha is 3 of Pentacles, which at the time I said was the card of teamwork, coming together
Mhm.
to reach a common goal. It's basically like the card that says like you're gonna meet success. You're gonna have success in meeting your goals, like with your team. That's what that card means when it comes up in a reading. If you ever want one, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
Um, and then she has another vision where she shouts, "Get off of me."
Mm.
Um, that is during the trial in the Big Little Lies house where they're all dressed like white women.
Right.
And then when her and Agatha are trying to find the ingredients for the potion, she turns to Agatha and says, "Try to save Agatha," which could also be foreshadowing the events of this past episode.
With Alice,
With
yeah.
yeah. Um And then we're in episode 4 where she's before she has the Alice don't moment, she asks the air seemingly, "Which is it? Am I wispy or am I kooky?" And the first time Agatha met Lilia, she said, "So what? You're a little bit of a kook." And so I was going to go back and see if there was another time where Agatha called her like wispy so that
Mm,
I could align those moments. But I guess we haven't seen it yet because it's in the
interesting.
future. And so
Okay.
it probably will happen in future episodes, maybe. While they're saving Teen's life after he gets stabbed from the glass, she yells out the card 3 of Swords, which means rejection, betrayal, hurt, and discouragement.
Yeah.
Um, and at the campfire moment when they're all bonding, she says, we really kind of hated each other in the beginning, but now, and then she doesn't finish her thought. And then Jen is like, but now what? And Lily is like, huh? What do you mean?
Mm.
And so I'm like, okay, maybe this is like alluding to like a happy ending at the end of this series.
Yeah, it almost seems like everything Patty LuPone is saying is like it hasn't happened yet, or we will see it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. Mm.
And then the last vision that I wrote down happens in this episode 5, when Agatha disappears and the lights are going crazy and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They all start yelling. It's actually kind of funny. She goes, I hated this the first time. And then Teen goes, Lily is being weird again. And
Yeah.
it was just a cute little moment.
Mm.
And so now, from here on out, I'm going to write down every single outburst she has
You
because
should.
I want
Yeah.
to see if they come to fruition.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, that's such a good little like bit of Easter egging that I really like, because it's also like I feel like later on the line we could like see a flashback montage of all of it, but it's also something that
Yeah.
even if you don't pay attention to, it doesn't alter the story. It's just kind of foreshadowing. Like it adds to it, but it doesn't take away if you're not paying attention to those things. But I'm glad we are, because like that just kind of enhances it. I assume Lilia's trial is soon, but also like maybe not if
She's in
this
the
is.
mud.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happens next, and I don't want to know yet. I want to be surprised. The only question I have, like, where's Aubrey Plaza at the end of this episode? What's up with her?
That's also my
Okay,
question as well.
because he throws the other three in the mud. Is she working with Wiccan?
Do you think they're in cahoots?
Oh wait, that makes so much sense. Why
Rio
else
and
would they kill
Wiccan?
Mrs. Hart? Why would he kill Mrs. Hart?
Oh,
Holy
you think
shit!
he.
Holy
Wait, wait,
shit!
wait, wait.
Holy
Wait,
shit!
so you
We just
think.
cracked it.
Wait, okay. So you're
I think
saying
because she
he
wants.
killed Mrs. Hart to get him to get her to be the Green Witch in the coven.
He doesn't want to be in the coven. He wants her to be in the coven. But now
Mm,
that she's in the coven, he needs someone else to die so he can be in the coven. Killing Mrs. Hart was not so he could get in the coven. It was so Aubrey Plaza could get in the coven, because Agatha wasn't going to let her in. But if you kill Mrs. Hart, then you need Aubrey Plaza in the coven. And why is Aubrey Plaza telling Agatha that he's not hers? Because Aubrey knows, because she's in cahoots with him. She's been working with him the whole
yeah.
time. And why is Aubrey Plaza not sunk into quicksand at the end of this episode? Because she's working with him. And so
Oh,
I think this is
yeah.
okay,
I think
I
we
like this a lot. I think we
cracked it.
cracked it. I think we cracked it. Yo, here we go. Marvel-ous Movie Mondays. You heard it here first. Aubrey Plaza and Wiccan are working together. They're an
So,
alliance.
Dill, so you're completely sold on the fact that the person who put the sigil on Wiccan was Wanda.
The sigil?
Yeah, the thing that makes his name disappear and how we
I
can't hear
I
his name.
don't know. I honestly think if Aubrey Plaza and him were working together, there's a possibility she put the sigil on him because she didn't want him to say what his name was to Agatha, because she wanted Agatha to think it was her own son, so she would take him along so he could do the dirty work to get her in the coven.
Mm. Or, but then why have that moment with her where she says, he's not yours? Like, why not just let her keep believing it?
Because at that point she's in. She's
Mm,
gone her way in. She's like, all
sure.
right, just letting you know now. Almost like just warning you, now's your chance to get out because I know what's going on. I really like this theory. I like this
I
theory a
also,
lot.
yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm still not completely sure who and why they put the sigil on him. That I definitely want to know.
Because
I
I
have
think
an
if he says
interest.
he's Wanda's son all along, Agatha never trusts him to start with. But I think
Right.
now Agatha's like, shit, you guys have been playing me. Wow,
Mm,
okay. Good on you. And that's why she doesn't kiss her after that. I
right.
think I think that's a big possibility that this is
Yeah,
like a Aubrey Plaza got one over on her. Um,
for sure. And then we get a lot in this moment with Agatha and her mom, where I think this is when a lot of the people in the coven try to kind of soften for Agatha a little bit, because they're
mm,
kind of at like, obviously Jen is very team, like, no, let's just leave her. And like, this is how we pass a trial. Like, let's get out of here. But we kind of see this moment. And I think this is why Alice chooses to save her. I think, Alice, softens up a little bit for Agatha and, sees that Agatha is still a little bit in pain that her own mother, turned against her. And she makes
Her
that
son's dead.
awful,
Yeah.
and her son's dead, and Agatha's mom makes that awful comment to her where she says, "You were born evil. I should have killed you the second you were born."
Yeah.
And even Aubrey Plaza in that moment is like, "No, we can do whatever we want to Agatha. We cannot leave her with her because
Mm.
that would be bad because
Yeah.
she's bad."
Yeah.
And so when Alice chooses to save her, obviously she dies because of it, but Agatha also has this moment where she's like, "Don't leave me with her. Like, I can change. I can be good." Do you think that that's true at all, or do you think that she was just putting on an act so she didn't get like left with her mom, who she hates?
I don't know. I feel like because this is her show and it's a Disney Plus show, I feel like there is like that goodness in her that can be
Sure.
resolved. I think a lot of it has to do with her son as well. Like I feel like that's building somewhere. Um,
Mhm.
I'm really intrigued now. Like I think this episode was to make us ask all the questions, so now it can pay off. Because I really think right now we're in an unfulfilled place. But now talking about it, I'm really excited for what comes next. But
Yeah.
I don't have the answers. I really don't know. But that's what
Yeah.
makes it fun. I feel like we're in WandaVision mode again. Like of really truly not knowing what's coming next, but being really
Yeah.
excited and trying to piece together our theories. And we'll probably be right with some. We'll probably be wrong with some others. I do really like the Aubrey Plaza Joe Locke in cahoots story though, because like
Mhm.
it would make a lot of sense why he kills Miss
That would
Hart and
make
why,
sense.
he wants to get in with Coven. And yeah, very interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. And also, speaking of stunts, I realized this on my second watch when Jen and Lilia both get thrown into the mud. You can totally tell that like Patty LuPone wanted none of that. So they don't even cut to her
I don't
face.
blame
Like
her.
it's very much like her face is like covered by like something in the forest, and then the
Yeah.
only person that we see actually get sunk into the mud, other than Agatha, is Jen. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like Patty LuPone was not.
Patty
She was
LuPone
not
was sitting in
committed
her
to that
trailer.
bit.
Yeah, she was sitting in her trailer drinking a root beer. She was not. She was not.
Yeah, absolutely not. And
No.
I'm just like, oh, that's
um,
so iconic of her.
I love it.
Um,
Yeah, very exciting though. Like I am very excited to see how this wraps up. Like this is the most excited I've been for another episode in a long time. Like I've always been excited on certain episodes. Like that was a really great episode. But like this is the first time I've
mhm.
been like, oh, I need to see what happens next in a while, which is really cool. Like I didn't feel that way about
Yeah,
Echo or Secret Invasion or even 97, which I thought was amazing. My favorite stuff, in the MCU. Like I didn't think I was like on the edge of my seat waiting for the next one. Also because I binged those all at once. But yeah, this
mhm.
is really strong, and I'm really happy we're kind of in this like kind of unknowing, but also kind of having ideas speculatory phase. So,
Yeah.
anything else, Kels, on this one? This was a lot to
My
unpack for a short episode. We've gone an hour, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. My last thought on this
Yeah,
is that I would love like how it goes down in the comics. I would love it if like the next time we talk about or hear about Mephisto, it's just Wiccan being like, "Yeah, I fucking killed that guy." And so it's just like boom, done. Like you're not.
I could see a world where the next episode opens with Wiccan, like where we see where he's been from WandaVision till
Mm,
now, and I could see a world because we know Sacha
yeah.
Baron Cohen's playing Mephisto at some point, supposedly. That's still just a
Mm,
rumor, but like I could see a
sure.
world where he plays it a flashback. It's almost like the opening of Thor Ragnarok with Surtur, where it's like Mephisto's there and Wiccan just like awesome in that, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'd be very curious though
Yeah.
if we get Tommy in this at all. If they're gonna try to
Yeah.
tie it all together and who would play him, I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
don't even want to theorize because I'm not even sure. But a lot of exciting things to look forward to. Very exciting. Kels, anything else, or we wanna end it there on a high.
No, that's it for
Cool.
me.
All right. Well,
Thank
next week we're gonna get right back into it. We're gonna get right back into episode 6. I'm sure we'll learn a lot more. And then the week after, we're taking a week off because we're gonna be covering Venom 3, which is gonna be very exciting. We're gonna see that in theaters. It comes out next weekend. So the 21st, you're getting episode 6 of Agatha. Then on the 28th, you're gonna get Venom 3. Then on the 4th, we will have gotten our finale, I believe, for Agatha. So we're probably gonna do a double up. We're probably gonna do our 31 Days of Halloween wrap up special and our Agatha finale reviews, just to kind of make it easier on y'all, so you don't have to wait too long for our Agatha thoughts. Or maybe we draw out the suspense. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the episodes are and if we feel like we want to rush out 2 episodes at once or not. The 31 Days of Halloween thing will probably be a live stream though, so you guys can get excited for that. Kels, where can they find you out there in the meantime?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You could find me on TikTok, watch the 31 Frights of Halloween at Kelsey A. Kilp. And then my letterbox is the exact same thing at Kelsey A. Kilp.
Cool. You can find me at Dylan_Randazzo at Twitter, Dylan Randazzo 417. Also at TikTok, I'm doing my 31 Days of Halloween. I'm much further behind Kelsey. I've been watching the movies. I have not been posting the TikToks, but they are coming. I'm going to try to get 2 a day until we catch up. I also start watching Haunting of Hill House today, so I'm excited to kind of give my updates to that. I'm going to do a full series review after the fact. I'm not going to do episode by episode, but I will be starting that today. And then Dill Pickle Movie Network. If you want to watch us on YouTube and watch all the other things we got going on, New York Film Fest reviews, coming up, as I said, Kelsey and I are going to be doing our Venom review, but we are also going to be doing other kind of drafts and fun stuff before the end of the year. And then we'll have a little bit of an announcement in January. But thank you guys so much for watching, listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.